I have a confession, 'cause confession heals the soul. Lately I've fallen down, stumbling over past sins and secrets I've held within. Lord, I'm struggling. I need you to fix my desire.
Now, despite popular belief, I don't subscribe to the idea that hell is your typical lake of fire, pitchfork, whips and chains type of place where the devil and all his red demons laugh at the sound of your screams. Ha 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 ha! No, okay? It's a bit more real than that. You know what's hell? Waking up in the middle of the damn night with a toothache is hell. Hitting your pinky toe against the corner of a table's leg is hell, except hell is having the girl you like say that you're such a nice guy and that she hopes that she could one day find a guy just like you.
No! God, please, no!
But worst of all, folks, hell is eternal separation from God, His goodness, His glory, and even more, His grace.
Hey everybody, welcome back to this episode of Song Distillery. I am your host, Shawn Mitchell, as well as Sara and Edwards, the co-host for this. Today we are with, obviously, Victor Brown discussing his Heartwork EP project. If you guys haven't been tuning in recently, we've been going over this for the past couple of weeks, and this is our last episode in this little series, unless something magical part 2 of this kind of comes about. With us today, we also have a bit of the production team as well as a musician from the actual project itself. Chadwick Morgan, the bassist for I'm pretty sure all the tracks on this entire project, and as well as Pioneermusic's own, drumroll please everybody, the most anticipated name in the conversation, Jay-Vis, aka Jarvis, aka the boss man, aka all of
you know him as the production mastermind.
You know him, yeah, exactly.
He goes by many names.
But no, Jay-Vis Mcintosh from Pioneer Music. Thank you both and all of you guys just for being here, and thank you for everyone who is tuning in. But yeah, we're going to be discussing the last track number 7. Yes, because 7. Yep.
Is the God's perfect number.
There we go.
What a way to end it.
My God.
Right.
Alrighty.
So
Sarah, go ahead if you.
Right. So Victor wanted to stay out of this. He's drinking juice over there, but I don't know how he can stay out of this because it's absolutely not possible for him to take the back bench because you wrote the song, Victor. So Hi again, Chad. Hi again, Jay-Vis.
Hi.
Hi. Is Lux you have Chad?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I didn't remember. Oh my goodness.
Good man.
Right.
You see.
Okay. All right. Yes. Victor.
Yes, ma'am.
You're on the floor now. No. You wrote this song. This song is upbeat, funky, and all of them something there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
No. When did you write this song? I don't mean like I don't
remember. I never remember when I write any of these songs. But
why?
This song,
Why you don't remember?
Cause a long time. I remember what was happening though. I remember actually my mom had started a church in my community called Goldsmith Villa. Now Goldsmith Villa is a part of Augustown, a very volatile community at the time. No,
that's in Kingston. That's in
Kingston,
Jamaica.
Kingston, Jamaica.
Okay.
Kingston, Jamaica. It's a lower income community. We know it in Jamaica. We call it ghetto. We call it garrison. And I was leaving church, heading home. And when I remember the church met in a basic school, right? And I remember walking outside, and when I walk outside, I don't know. I was just hit afresh with nature, and there wasn't much nature to be seen. There was like a gully and a couple trees. But honestly, it's not like Fern Gully or a very nice orchard or strip. it was
With
the
lush
kind
vegetation and all of them stuff together.
yeah, but somehow
right.
in that moment, I was hit afresh with just the wonder of the beauty of what God had made. And so that's where the first couple lines came to me. I remember walking from church. I remember the first couple lines came to me about I'm filled with wonder as I ponder the work of your hands. I can't believe that you made it all, then you came and died for your creation. And then I don't remember what happened after that. The rest of the song just came eventually, but that was the setting for the starting of the writing for Wonder.
Ah, beautiful, beautiful. And this one is quite different from the other tracks, right?
In a lot of ways, yeah, in a lot of ways. I think it bears some amount of resemblance to Humble in terms of the funk.
Oh yeah. That
soul
was
elements, upbeat, but it's still a bit different, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna come back to you. Hi, Jay-Vis.
Hi, Sarah.
Yes, producer, mastermind. Victor will help me with the words to describe you, right?
Oh boy.
No,
I can't.
it's okay. Now you produced this album, this EP for Victor Brown. How long have you been a producer?
Wow. I guess a little over 7 years.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty
It's
cool
about 7
considering
years.
like I can tell that like your producer vocabulary that like audibly like that I hear alone, I'm like, sounds like the dude's been producing his whole life, you know,
yeah, man.
20 plus.
Embody.
Nah, man. But the truth is, you can't do it without, especially live records like this one. You can't do it without a solid team.
True.
So the production. I guess from the standpoint of a producer, it's really trying to take the artist's vision and make it a reality as best as possible.
Right.
And if Victor didn't write a good song, if Chad and the band members didn't play good music, then what's there to produce? You get what I mean? It's
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. No, what was it like working with Victor?
Boy, Victor Brown.
Speak honesty, Jay. You freedom. remember, fam. I can't reach it. Be not afraid.
Be not afraid. All right. Let me take everything out the closet then. Joke. But no, man, Victor is fun. Victor has been fun for because before I think before any of us started any kind of production or got our hands wet in production, it was more, we all met along the lines of, I guess the common thread is God, worship, and music, if you really want to call it that. And everything else flows organically out of those three. Just, I guess college days, different events would bring persons of like mind together. And so being a musician first or a vocalist first, just loving the Lord, man, you're definitely drawn to the likes of a Victor Brown, energetic, very energetic,
very talented too,
Yeah, man.
Well, you just mentioned college. You guys went to college together?
No, man.
When he said not together, he means maybe not in the same year.
Not in the same year, yeah.
But we all went to University of West Indies.
Yes.
Oh, woo. Yeah, me too.
So our most of us were in college at the time, whether it be the same college, so we would have been in the whole UCCF circles or just and eventually Still Waters. A lot of folks would remember that. So
Right. Okay, all right. What was the process like when producing this EP?
All right, so this EP, I guess like this one is a little bit different in that it was a live event first. So Victor had already started kind of fleshing out the details of the arrangements with Chad, the band members, LJ, Joel. I think we had Mark Anthony Reed on perks, and
Bindi.
Wesley was on guitar, Bindi on guitar.
Bindi.
Yeah, man. Brandon, Bindi, Benjamin, mighty God. Yeah, man. So the guys started to flesh it out. I came in as an auxiliary keyboardist. And yeah, it's always a great vibe arranging with these guys, masterminds. I kid you not.
Okay.
So we had a
Awesome.
great time at an event, and then it transitioned. Say, hey, we need to record this while it's still fresh. So we went to the
Yes.
studio, keep it off,
Wait. While fresh, because this was written in 2018. What do you mean?
Exactly.
Recorded while fresh.
While fresh. So we actually started
Eh.
recording in 2018. 1
Really?
week after the event, yes.
Yeah.
And here we are in
Wow.
2022.
Here we are.
Sarah's been chastising Victor for the past few weeks because she keeps saying this is long overdue, and so now that you said that it was recorded in 2018, I'm sure that it adds to the
Yeah.
tension.
Yeah. You're so right.
Man.
No, we're gonna move over to Chad. Chad,
Hey,
you're the bassist, Che. You're the bassy. You play bass guitar on this track. And Victor, all of the tracks on this album?
Yeah.
EP?
Yeah, I think Chad plays on everything. Yeah, Chad plays on everything.
Yeah, bad bassy. Help me introduce him out.
Oh man, you see this man needs no introduction. What happens is if you open to Revelation 5, you
Revelation 5. Okay. All right.
this is a gas session. This is a gas session. This is
I don't like one of these things. But no, Chad is, Chad and Virgin. I think one of the things that I wanted to say when Jay-Vis was talking was before we started the music thing, we were just like friends. Like, we're just friends, just love Jesus, love music, and vibe. So Chad is no different. I would have mentioned on a couple episodes before that Chad and I actually met at Ulmer's,
Yeah.
because Chad was playing bass for the Ulmer's chorale at the time, and I was a fresh little, fresh little green first form, dried every club at Ulmer's, but the only one that worked out was choir, and so part of the choir, and I met Chad, and at that time as a first former, fresh to even doing any sort of performance thing, you look up to these guys because them guys they're your seniors in school, and then them playing good music, so you kind of starry-eyed when you see the band, because them time they have Chad McKeary on drums. I remember who else was on the band, but some LJ was LJ.
LJ.
Yeah,
LJ, Dexter Bean.
Dexter, yeah. So the band was a very good band. You know what I mean? So that was one of the first introductions I had to hearing live music, and I was like, yeah, these guys are good. And so I don't think Chad and I were super close at that time. We were just we just kind of flow in the same kind of circles on the choir. But there was some sort of connection from that point. Same with LJ, same with Jeff Clark. All of these guys were my seniors, but we just formed a little link, and it just stayed there for a lot of years. But then I think Chad and I reconnected through Stillwaters. I think that was where we reconnected. Because Shanzi, that's Shanique Watts, she introduced me to Witty introduced me to Stillwaters, and then all of we start kind of flowing the same kind of circle. So it was kind of like a reunion for Chad and I at that point. But then I feel like in a lot of ways God was in it, because I feel like our friendship just really blossomed very, very quickly, very organically. Because Chad and I, we are the kind of friends who we will not talk for 2 years. Literally. We'll not talk for 6 months, a year, but when we do, yo, Wagwan is almost like living at the same house kind of thing. Like, yo, Wagwan, you know what I mean? And it was no different when we reconnected through Stillwaters, and the Lord just kind of made things blossom from there. So yeah, Chad is a phenomenal bassist, musician, he has music director. He at J-Hop, we also spent some time together there in the prayer room doing music and things. So I have lots to say about both of these guys, but I'll allow Chad to talk, and then I'll go off on the gas, on the petrol.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Before we go back to Chad, you said J-Hop. For those who don't know, what does that mean?
Jamaica House of Prayer.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, Chad, how long have you been professionally playing the bass guitar?
How long now? I'm not good at years, I am.
Because you're a man.
What a card you put.
Is she wrong?
How do you answer that?
Am I wrong?
I saw your answer like this.
Yeah.
If you said no, you lose. If you say yes, you lose.
Yeah, isn't it? I plead the
It's
fifth.
okay.
I plead the fifth. There you go.
Yeah. But I've been playing bass for maybe like, I want to say maybe like 10 years.
Ooh,
No,
that's good.
I started playing bass, not professionally. When I say professionally, or when we say professionally, a lot of times we use it in two ways. So professionally, like when I refer to like a level of a skill,
Yes.
and not a vibe like, oh yo, you're amazing, but just like just a level of proficiency, because music can be a job, and if you're going to do a job well, like just a certain basic level of skill necessary. But then professionally meaning that's a profession, like that's all you earn. So in terms of like the skill, maybe like 10 years. In terms of as a profession, maybe like 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still a lot of years. Now, how did you learn this skill? Was it self-taught? How did you learn the bass?
I was self-taught. I have a gift, and in saying I have a gift, what I'm doing is I giving the credit to God, because the basic or the basis or the foundation or the roots of the thing is not me. I'm not super. It's not because I was super diligent or super anything. I just born into music. My father sing. My family on my father's side and my mother's side musical, so I just have a natural aptitude for music. I started messing around on the drums. Most musicians in Jamaica start off messing around on the drums at church, because you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Everybody can kind of knock it.
Everybody can knock it, man.
I can't knock it though, but sure.
You never try.
No, I didn't.
No, man, you have to keep trying. Like, not like so everybody can knock it.
That's right.
And then I went over to keyboards, and I was playing keyboards. I still play some keyboards, and while I was playing keyboards, like Victor mentioned, there was a very musical space at Wilma's, and honestly, I tell you the truth, like could be vulnerable. The man them they just start get wicked on the keyboards, and I was just like, yo, look like I'm gonna survive on the thing right to say, So I kind of start to look and I say, what what else I can do?
It's an exit strategy.
Yeah, because you'd have LJ Reid, you'd have Dexter Dean Cahoon, you'd have an next one named Stephen Campbell. Yeah, man. You'd have a next brother, I don't remember his name, and everybody just excellent. I was just like, yo, Jano.
And LJ was on the keys.
Yeah, man.
Dexter was on the drums.
No, all of these are keyboardists. That's what I said. All of these, there were a lot of keyboardists. Yeah. So it was just like, I don't know how I'm going to survive right there. So I kind of started look out.
You transitioned.
I saw somebody playing bass, and I said, hey, I really like the instrument. And I said to the guy, I said, yo, oh, you learn, because, you're young like me, but you know what I mean? You do works, you do great works. And I said, I said, I just watched some videos on YouTube. And I said, what, you watch some videos on YouTube? I can watch some videos on YouTube.
Yeah, come on.
I can do that.
Yeah, man. I was like, yeah, man, I can go YouTube University. And so that's how I started playing bass. And then I just really fell in love with the instrument, and just the role that it played, the fundamental role that it played, and then all of the other roles that it could have played. And I kind of just gave myself to it and transition a lot of like even my keyboard knowledge into bass, and then God just opened up some doors, and I had a lot of good opportunities to learn bass. Because every instrument is like in the of music, but even like Jay-Vis basically play everything. You know what I mean? Like if you're in music, you kind of touch the language then, but kind of home. And so I had some good opportunities to get around some very gifted people, very experienced people, to really hone out like the language of bass, and that's how that happened.
Okay, awesome. Now that we've met Chad and Jay-Vis, it's now time to go over to that song titled Wonder. Victor Brown, over to you.
All right, guys, I'm gonna share Wonder with you.
I sit in wonder, oh, and I ponder the works of your hands. Yeah. I can't believe that you paid it all, then you came, died for your creation. Yeah. The birds, the bees, the flowers and trees, nature sings your glory. With my voice I'll join the choir, sing redemption story. It's your love for me. Lord, I am so grateful. I don't know why you've been faithful. It's your love for me. Yeah. I can testify that it's your grace for I'm alive. It's your love. La 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 la. It's your love. La 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 la. Yeah. Woo. Your intervention, I was dying when you stepped in. You saved the day. You made a way for me to come to the cross. You bought my salvation. Let my light be a light shining, showing the way to Jesus. Let lost souls see the way out. The perfect life is free. It's your love for me. Lord, I am so grateful. I don't know why you've been faithful. It's your love for me. I can testify that it's your grace while I'm alive, and it's your love. La 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 la. It's your love. La 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 ba da ba da. It's your love. La 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 la. It's your love. La 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 la. Ah, yeah. Yeah. Come on and say yeah. Yeah. Put your hands together. We were created for this. La 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 la. It's your love. La 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 la. Ba 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 da ba ba. It's your love. La 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 la.
Ah, such a beautiful song. I did not want it to end.
So true.
Yes, yes. Now, Shawn is the expert at, dissecting the instrument aspect. of things.
Girl, you got ears.
I mean,
Nah,
he
I'm
knows the
playing.
names. He knows the names that I oftentimes struggle to find.
That's funny. I was it was actually exactly what I was thinking about earlier on. Forget what episode it was and what song we were talking about, but there was a particular song that no, it was shoot. What's the other one we were just talking about? We were like saying that this sounds not exactly like
Humble.
humble enough. There we go. I'm here. Okay. But no, at humble enough, I heard some synth work, like keyboard work, and I was like, oh, is that like that sounds like sonically that sounds like this particular modeled keyboard. I'm curious, Jay-Vis. I doubt anybody will really care about this, but it really matters to me a lot. But were you using a Roland
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not Roland, the Juno 106?
Juno
You do have one.
Yes.
Okay,
No,
dope.
we didn't have the physical hardware, but it was an Omnisphere software sound. I
Okay.
think that was for Dusty Shelf, probably.
Dusty Shelf. Okay, that's what I was
Dusty,
thinking. Yeah, I think that actually was the track. I was thinking about because I was like, I was having a really hard time figuring out if that was a plugin or if it was actual like hardware. I was like, whatever he's using, if it is a plugin, that's insane because it sounds so good. Omnisphere. Yeah, that's the way to go.
Legendary plugin. Legendary. Yeah,
dope. Did you use that did you use any of that for this track too? I heard it might have been a Rhodes sound, but I heard that kind of going too.
So that was I guess the famous MKS. I think that's a Roland sound as well.
Okay.
The MKS 20 is like a vintage digital piano.
Right.
It it's kind of in between, the Rhodes and the piano sound, but definitely digital piano. But for this song, the key on keys was LJ. Definitely crazy.
The whole thing.
Crazy,
Okay.
crazy. Yeah, man. So what we did for the programming of the horns, as opposed to Consistent Love and Humble Enough, those were live horns. We got Beyonce's trumpeter, Arnetta Johnson. Shout
That's
out to
the
her.
name I couldn't remember. Arnetta
Johnson.
Beyonce's trumpeter?
I know, right? That's
there's
huge.
a story in that. Where
Those are seriously in the middle of the pandemic. I think this was 2020 for sure. As soon as the pandemic hit, she was online with a couple of her friends.
Yeah, Victor was saying that.
Yeah.
And she was like, we'll record for what you can afford. So
wow. I didn't know she was Beyonce's trumpeter.
The name of her live. We'll record for what you can afford.
Yeah, man. Wow. So we jumped on that right away. But this was recorded in 2019. The horns, I think LJ and I sat down for about 7 to 8 hours just trying to program the horns because these aren't live. These are software horns.
Fooled me. I was convinced. I was like, oh yeah, these sound pretty good. I was like about to say, were they fun to work with on it? No, okay, they were. That was also man.
It was a lot of work, with the falls and the crescendos and all of that.
For people who don't know music production, like that's a lot of processing and a lot of work. Like I can't even like when I'm making a beat, my whole new process now is streamline. Go faster. Don't waste your time doing. But that whole process right there, easily, if I was to sit down to be detailed enough, alone would take days to get to sound perfect.
Trust and believe. And even so let's say the drums and bass were recorded as quickly as possible. We had the same feel as the live event in 2018. So I think at the end of 2018 is when Chad and Joel, or early 2019, would have hit the studio. And, we just brought the same vibe right there. And then we laid down some sketch keyboard parts. And then for the rest of 2019, it was horns. Quick story about that. The background vocals, I lost the files twice.
Thank God.
No.
And the keys, because it's a dynamic song, change a keys, almost every 2 bars, 4 bars, joking. Not so often, but often enough.
Right.
hard drive crash after hard drive crash. Every other project was fine except for this one with the
Oh
background vocals.
my.
The devil
So
don't want
these
us to
background
worship.
vocals were
My God.
recorded like a month before release.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Just
Yeah,
I
man.
mean from production standpoint alone, this whole project top to bottom,
Yeah.
all the way down, all 7 tracks.
Yeah.
Like the first thing I told Victor when we were talking about this was that this project has like Broadway level production
Yeah.
in
Definitely.
here. And that doesn't happen a lot. You can get things that sound like really good and like it's shining, glisten, like it's got all that, it's got all the bells and whistles, but then you guys really captured the live feel while actually presenting a high quality production. Like you can capture a live feel just by putting a microphone in a room and everyone that's your only point of recording, but like I felt like I was literally in the vibe that you guys put into this project. So
And I
like
guess that's why it took, that's why it took as long as it took, some
fair.
painful times for Victor, definitely, calling every now and again and saying, boy, Jay-Vis with the project, what go on. Victor did that dead over there. But it took some time and I guess in retrospect, this may be the average amount of time that some international artists, if we even bring up Kirk Franklin after, kind of reviewing what he does, every 4 years an album would come out. And I'm sure that, let's say unlike our process this time around, he may have had like 30 songs and you record all 30 and you can only choose 11.
Right.
Something like that. So it kind of gave me some hope.
Okay.
So, 3 years, 4 years, not so bad, right?
Not so bad.
It's not terrible.
Yeah. I mean, in retrospect, go ahead, Sarah.
And with that said, I just want to ask this before we move on to Victor. Jay-Vis, what's your role as a producer? For those who don't know, what producers really do, like tell us, what do you do as a producer?
In real life?
Yes.
I do too much. But a producer really, hey, I guess a general definition would be one who determines the direction of a song. So the you'll have specialized areas, like songwriters would carry the songs then to a producer, and the artist who may be singing the song may not be the one who would have written the song. So, in this case, Victor, multiple hats. And in my special case, I'm a keyboardist primarily. Right? And so keyboardist and vocal producer. So kind of tying things together, filling in the gaps where, we could have gotten away with some stuff in the live performance. For production, persons are hearing everything. It's very sterile. Everything is upfront, close. So we have to be true to each genre. Just kind of bringing to life the whole vision of a song. That's the producer's job. Preparing the files for the mix engineer, doing the dirty work after everybody would have recorded, tuning this, tuning that. Let's say not Victor Brown now, but let's say some lead vocalist.
Tell the truth, man.
You
Only
have
for
someone
off key and
off
pitching
key
it.
here, right? Yeah, man. That's the producer is supposed to be doing all of that to hand it over to the next phase or the post-production phase of stuff.
All right. You said you're a vocal producer. Can you sing as well?
Absolutely, yes.
But
Jay-Vis can sing.
just like Chad will tell you that, we stay in our lane. It's not gonna call to be a producer, not a vocalist.
I mean, what you call those dual lanes? Not dual. The ones that
dual carriageway.
Right. So you can have more than one names.
Yeah, man.
Right.
I sing for vocal production purposes. So not the limelight vibes. Yeah, not for the gas.
That's so good. How easy or difficult was it to replicate what Victor actually wanted? So I would imagine that Victor would come to you and say, Brother Brown. You're my Brother Brown, not Brother Brown. Brother Mcintosh.
Yeah.
this is how I want this to sound. And you know,
Yeah,
me know you're gonna shut it up.
yeah, man.
I
No,
know you're
man,
gonna do
Victor,
a good
Victor
job.
easy to work with, you know why? Because I believe that um and I can speak specifically from Jamaica because that's where, where I'm from.
All right.
I would encourage every artist because they're doing it abroad in the dozens. Most artists abroad play an instrument and sing. Victor can play. So it's easy to communicate ideas or easier to communicate ideas using the musical jargons and terms. And then, Victor, as I say, I'm very, very, very curious about music on a whole. So he would have delved into production. So it make it easier to communicate with Victor thoughts and processes and, just recording Wonder. Boy, put on the Stevie Wonder vibes, man. That's how I approach it. So in studio, when he
Wow.
was recording lead vocals, crazy, crazy, crazy. Especially verse 2. You don't know that nice part in a verse 2, Victor,
And
bro,
Jay-Vis
man.
come up with the idea there.
Please,
Jay-Vis came up with that part. If you listen to the start of verse 2 where I can't there is a part I'm trying to remember now. It's escaping my mind now. But Jay-Vis was like, yo, brother Brown. This is Jay-Vis, guys. If you work with Jay-Vis, you will hear it.
Oh.
So you're in the studio, right? And yeah, do you think in here? You're in Paul, you click, brother Brown. There's something in here. I want you to try something for me. You ready for this? You ready for this? Listen to this. And the Jay-Vis does it. Jay-Vis does it. That's why I said Jay-Vis can sing. Don't let Jay-Vis fool you. And I'm not saying that to gas him. Jay-Vis can sing. Yeah? Jay-Vis does the thing. And I'm in the studio saying, Jesus have mercy. What a hotel Jay-Vis said we can do this. And you know how I know this is true? Alicia Taylor says the same thing about Jay-Vis. Jay-Vis will say something, and Ali is like, and Ali is a phenomenal vocalist, guys. Ali is in the middle of her vocal coaching series right now. Ali's like, what I would tell Jay-Vis we can't do this. But the beauty of working with like a Jay-Vis is you come to him with all these crazy ideas, and him just kind of sit and synthesize. I always say Jay-Vis is like the Jarvis from Iron Man. If you know the AI from Iron Man, he just kind of plug in all of this data and him just kind of synthesize. And it just come out in like an organized way, like, yo, this is how you can kind of get that sound down to like a process, like an actual process that we can execute. So, yeah.
And in real life, in truth, we really feed off each other, So that's why it's really, really important. I would encourage every artist to learn an instrument, primarily keys or guitar. It makes it easier to communicate ideas, dreams, thoughts to the producer, the musicians, and hey, we just, have fun from there.
For sure.
That's definitely like, really like true. I've noticed disconnects like in multiple settings. Like if I'm like back in like when I was doing my jazz band stuff in college, I still do a little bit of professional stuff here and there, but I would notice that the singer didn't know how to play an instrument. It was harder for them to be able to contextualize what the musicians were trying to like incorporate into what was happening. Like if the drummer was like, no, you're kind of rushing on the one, you need to come in like right on the one or a little bit after, so you get like a little bit of swing to it. And she was like, she just didn't have or she or he, doesn't really matter who really, but it was always like they didn't have the conceptual pattern of like reading music, understanding the 1, 2, 3, 4, what, like, so I definitely resonate with what you're saying, and it's so true in so many instances where if you can tell when somebody is like a what's it called, like they're a feeling player or they're like a musically minded player with like more logically brained sort of thing, but it's kind of there's a balance of both. I think that's
definitely
we're just in the middle of talking about all the production jargon and Victor and Jay-Vis going back and forth. I also want to ask Chad, do you, in your expertise of doing your everything that you do, like I wholeheartedly, like I mean this, like where, like, okay, so I play a little bit of bass, like that much bass, and I hear you play and I'm like, dude, this is like unfair. Not unfair, it's a gifting, I can't say that, but where do you, who has been like a lot of who's inspired you on the bass specifically? Like, because your sound is very unique, and I like how you utilize the entire bass, like the entire neck. You don't, you're boom, 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 boom. You're not always like you're not up there. You travel, and that's really, that shows virtuosity and proficiency. So but yeah, I guess my question is like, who's like some of your inspirations?
Well, thank you very much. I
Of course.
appreciate that. Inspirations. I think like specifically with this song, somebody that I just really love and appreciate the bass playing, and me and Victor oftentimes like link up around this guy, Shari Reed. Once is anything funky, I mean, I kind of thinking, I'm thinking about Shari Reed, but I don't know. I feel like inspiration for me, I don't know, is an interesting thing of just like, it's always a lot of influence is something in a moment, and sometimes a lot of times it's more than just even bass influences. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of times is other instrumentalists, like even the way that I was playing in that recording, I was being inspired a lot by the other musicians and the vocals. I mean, what as Jay-Vis was saying, Victor is one of my favorite people to work with, whether like a playing bass or doing production or whatever, because he has an idea already. So Victor was the one that said to me, I think even before we were together as a band, because like with a talk with how we share musical ideas and say, yo, my tune, and the bass like so he actually sings the bass line. So it's like, yeah, him sing. Victor gave so that was Victor. So I didn't know, was just like, all right then. Well, Victor, give me this and let me hear how Joel going to interpret the rhythm, because that going to influence how I play my notes. Let me hear where LJ going to go with the chords, where Jay-Vis going to direct us in terms of the progression, because it's a beautiful thing, really. This set of musicians this side of the vineyard is a lot of journeying together, and so there's a way that when anything is produced out of this camp, and when I say camp, it's like we're with each other on one label or one spot, but you know what I mean, when we do things together, it's like there's the inspiration, answering the question again, the inspiration that I have as an instrumentalist in terms of what I've listened to before, but then a big part of the inspiration in terms of what I am playing and how I'm playing are the people in the room. They literally pull out, like, you have to go up here because the music going to this kind of energy. We have to go high. We have to match the melody up here, and we have to come back down here because the groove hitting heavy right down here. And so yeah, my inspiration is a big part Shari Reed, and then specifically on this song, like the people that were in the room.
That's a phenomenal answer. Can we like honestly just take a moment to like appreciate that? Because most people would give you like this whole rundown list of the musicians they've been listening to for the past 20 years. But literally the simplest and most professional thing, I think you said it perfectly, is you listened. You listened. As a musician, that's like, I mean, obviously it's go to show, but like listening does so much. Like just the fact that you had like enough to the wherewithal to like say, oh, the keys are going to doing this. Okay, that means I need to like, or whatever that means. Like you knew how to navigate that. And again, like I said before, that just shows the prowess that you have as a bassist, as the role. Like you understand the functionality, speaking of fulfilling that role versus like, like I get in this mindset that like if I'm working with musicians, I feel like everyone's kind of thinking in a silo, which I don't know if that makes sense or not, but like it basically like meaning like everyone's thinking independently. And then, the music isn't really jiving, nothing's really clicking, and people aren't in sync. But when you have musicians that are just listening and ready to do whatever, like, to me, that's the golden ticket to a solid musician and a solid band. So props to you guys, and glory to God to actually give musicians that that ability to actually be able to listen to create better music for His glory.
Yep.
Right. I totally agree, Shawn. Now, Chad, you're a skillful bassist. What were rehearsals like for you?
Rehearsals.
Yes, because you're the bassist on all of these tracks that we have on this EP.
Rehearsal was a joy. Rehearsal was a joy.
What you mean? What you mean?
Careful.
What do you mean by that?
Because, all right, sometimes when you go to rehearsals, you're replicating, and I mean that's something that you have to do. Like that's required. If a certain like artist calls you, and you go there and you're playing back their music, you're executing what somebody else has done, and there's no like, you know what I mean, that's not a bad thing. That's fun sometimes too, but like these rehearsals were just like, every time you come rehearsal, it's just like, all right then, we are creating. And I love that feeling. It's like, it's not a jam session, it's actually, we're rehearsing for our record, we're rehearsing for an event. An event was, I think it was music jam session, but what I'm saying is, there was just this perspective of like, when I step away from this song, and everybody I think had that kind of a perspective. When I step away from this song, it is a created entity. It must have an identity. And so you have that kind of intentionality, like, yo, when you leave, you're not supposed to just feel like, oh, that was a good time. You must feel like this is the identity. And then at the same time, it's a blank canvas because nobody has played the song before. Like,
yes,
I'm not listening to anybody to, you know what I mean, yo, how novelistly where him play this country that is what I experience from what Joel plays, what I experience from what LJ plays, is what I experienced from what Victor sing. And so it was a joy because it was such a free creative space, but then we were funneled into this. It's like the creative excitement was funneled into a creative discipline, because when we step away from it, you want it to have an identity. You know what I mean? Like if somebody goes, dum, 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 you know what that is like.
Right.
That's not just like a nice bass line.
Right,
Exactly.
literally.
So when he was in that session, I probably should have made the name of that bass player, forgive me. But when he was in that session, before the session, he knew, yo, when I'm finished with this, it's gonna be the identity. Just like when somebody sees Victor face, it's not just like, oh, here's just like a face. Like, this is Victor Brown. The features and the characteristics communicate something. So that was just a joy, like, to create. And we'll finish now, like listening back to the album and hearing like little things, like Shawn, like you said, sometimes you hear like something go up on the neck, but remembering like there was a specific reason why I did go, the a little thing, right? because Joel played something, and it just sparked this, and then every time we go back to rehearsal, I say, Joel, I have to play that thing in the car, that thing that I forget.
Right.
And then another part of why rehearsal was such a joy is because there's a lot of massive amount of talent, and a little bit of ego, and that's always a great space. Like, that's always a great space, because when there's not a lot of talent, it can be rough. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we appreciate people's efforts, and people trying, and respect that and honor that. But then when there's a lot of talent, there's just so much more that you can do. But then when there's a lot of ego, it's very stifling, because it's just like, you want to try this, but you don't want to try this, and you do this, and you do it to elicit a response, or it's just like a lot of things that just make it not joyful. So it's just like, I make a mistake, like, I know these guys trust me, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm not wondering if you don't know, because I made this mistake, or I make them call somebody else. So,
yeah, calling the next base. Call the next base.
James, you know
you know what? You tell me how work out.
No.
it was just like, yeah, you know what I mean? And so it's a safe space, and so just all of that. And then we have relationships like Victor and Jay-Vis say, you know what I mean? Like there's a way that there's a creative maker. You know, anytime these stories tell, you ever hear about something named Still Waters. You know what I mean? Just like if you talk about Bob Marley, then I hear about Trenchtown, I hear about Studio One, where all of the singers them, you know, come together and I mean Coxton, Sir Coxton, I think.
Coxon that.
Coxton Dad. You know, him come out and him say, all right, you come sing now, and everybody come sing in front of everybody. And there was just this, it's a mecca, it's like a spot where, you know, say, this distinctive sound that has become like reggae. It come from like a space, like a unified space, like Still Waters was a lot of that. And so when we come together, it's like, I'm used to creating with you, you know? I'm used to doing Bible study with you. I'm used to praying with you. I'm used to crying with you. I'm used to being vexed with you. I know what when upset I would cuss about that already. You know what I mean?
So the chemistry is there already.
Is a big deal, yeah. So it's like, and then it's massive talent. You know what I mean?
Right.
Enough time when I'm not playing in the room, we are just like gushing over each other. I say, hey, you're the man. Yo, whatever. Yo, you know. So it's just a good time. And then when you finish, you have the gift of having a product that have an identity afterwards. And it's just a joy. And then it is glorifying the Lord. Because all of these people have set themselves to give their gifts in this kind of a way. So it's just like, it's a joy, man.
Amen. Now you mentioned Still Waters. That's a gospel event in Jamaica.
Yeah, man. Still Waters was started up by Andre Whitaker. Yeah, another guy who always come up regular. And Shanique Watts.
Oh, I
big up Mama Shanzi. Big her up every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Then yeah, man, big up. And so a lot of people, man, like a whole heap of different people came together and just make some music unto the Lord. That was just not like a normal thing. And I mean, a lot of us were still young in our musicianship and team, you know. Jay-Vis, did he start producing it? You know, did he start producing when it started Still Waters?
No, you know, not at all.
Jay-Vis, not to gas up Jay-Vis, but Jay-Vis was killing the place with the vocals and the keys.
Yeah.
Jay-Vis was that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Boy.
Jay-Vis was that guy. You know, and the crazy vocal arrangements. And then Victor come in and I said, yo, man, I remember the youth. And him come and everybody was like, yo, who the youth? And I say, the youth about from a long time. Remember the youth, you know? Remember the brother, you know? You know, it's just full of stories of like creative coming together and then doing events and then stepping back and then, you know, doing seasons and transitions of Still Waters. So that now a lot of what we are doing in our different spaces, like Jay's to Pioneer and, you know, me at J-Hop and like different stages and Victor in his creative spaces. A lot of it, you can find some roots. Like if you're that kind of person that kind of trace back roots of music, you can find some things like, oh, so that's why that sound there did not come from that time there, you know? Them connection did not come from that time there. And that's something that I really love in terms of experiencing music, is the culture of music. You know, Bob Marley, bass player, and him drummer, they're brothers. So you go, oh, that's why that have that sound, that kind of connection there, because it's blood, you know what I mean? All of them stories, you have all of those kind of stories that are interwoven into the music.
Yes.
That help you to understand, like, oh, that's why that sounds so. It don't just sound like nice. It's, you know, music is an experience that have a lot of things in it all the time.
Right.
And so Still Waters was that for us. We're always look back at Still Waters and kind of just have a joy and a respect and an appreciation for having been able to be a part. And to create what we created and to be created into what we have been created into from that space.
I'd love to add something, Sarah, just to what Chad just said in terms of Still Waters, because every time that we talk about like this EP or this journey, or even sometimes I reflect with the Lord on like I writing a new song or I doing something, I realize, just what Chad said, it is so real. It's so important to trace your creative or your spiritual ancestry. Um, and it's important because we live in a world now where the creative culture has a number of sides. One side of it is what Chad would have mentioned in terms of there are those of us who would like to synthesize very nice sounds, but if we do that without being in touch with all that goes on behind the scenes, and I give you an example. When we were doing Muse, we had a lot of Muse was the live event I'd done at the Palette at the time. That was the first time any of these songs most of these songs were ever done publicly, apart from Humble Enough, I think, was at Muse. There was a lot of logistical challenges leading up to Muse happening, right? Lots of planning breakdowns and budget. We didn't have a budget, so we can't even say what budget constraints, because we didn't have the budget to begin with. You know what I mean? This is everything. And I remember leading up to Muse, so many things went wrong. And I remember like Chad would embrace me and say, okay, I quit on half of these things half the time. I was like, yo boy, okay, I'm bother music. I'm not about to do this. Not going to bother do this thing. And I remember Chad said something to me about how God, I don't remember the exact words, but basically he was saying God was more interested in the process and what the process was going to pretty much create in me than the outcome. He was more focused on the journey to Muse than Muse itself being a success. And so when we translate that kind of wisdom to our creative journeys, it helps you to appreciate a number of things. One, it helps you to appreciate what Jay-Vis mentioned before in terms of the wait times for something to be done. The world just says greatness takes time. All right, that's Warren. I think it's deeper than that. I think that wait time is the greatness. I think that's the thing is the wait time is the greatness. And so even this EP being released now and being able to bless people now, I've learned so much in terms of the journey. You know what I mean? Because even when Jay-Vis would have said to me, Brother Victor, it'll come together, don't worry yourself, Yeah, you believe, and you believe the word of God here, but then it's like, boy, you're not really sure, and then it's difficult and whatever. But then when it's done and you're looking back at how the journey has changed you, you cannot approach anything the same again. And that's why I really commend like Chad for bringing up like how Stillwater's influenced this journey, and even Jay-Vis mentioning it, because I know I don't know what God would have done, but like I don't think I'd have been here or there'd have been like a Heartwork without a Stillwaters. Because the unique thing about how Stillwaters was done, just for like Shawn's context and anybody who's watching, is that it wasn't a typical gospel concert where you call some big ticket names and you showcase some established talent, the guys who can pull an audience. That was not the ethos. Imagine for a second you are putting together a group of unknown underground creatives, half of whom don't even consider themselves such. Half of whom don't even. When Shanzi and Witty would have said to me, you should have set on Stillwaters. I was like, what? At the time, all I knew was leading Sunday morning praise and worship. That's all I knew. I didn't have context. So when I explained to people, because sometimes people are like, yo, you must have been doing music and what? I was like, fam, I was writing songs, throwing them away because I didn't have any context for what you mean you're going to record, or what you mean you're going to do a live event. And so Stillwaters was an evening of live music and poetry, but it was not to showcase those who had already reached, so to speak. It was really inviting to share a space people who had a creative gifting. Half of them don't even know they have it. So the selection process was very spiritual. A lot of prayer would have gone into the minds of the people who were organizing, because they're not getting people. Yeah, man, that you they're not flying in because he just released the album last week. These are people who some of them don't even know they can sing well, or they even consider themselves these are, somebody said, boy, I play like a piano, but and somehow God breathed on that space, because when you look at everybody that came out of that season together, the journey marked them. And so in a lot of ways, I feel like I've been spoiled, because even though I didn't go to like a music school, I don't have any formal music education whatsoever, I feel like God put me through the school like a Stillwaters and the journeys with these guys. And it's beautiful because there was this symmetry. So on one hand, you have the very inexperienced, like the me. you get to go to a Stillwaters and share a stage with a Chris Wright. You know what I mean? Chris Wright, one exceptional pianist and vocalist and arranger. you get to rub shoulder with an LJ who would have done formal trade. So yeah, it's just a beautiful space where, and as Chad said, it's safe. You're safe going off key. You can go off key. It's not celebrated when you go off key. But you are encouraged to improve on that, as opposed to reprimanded. You know what I mean? Which is a typical kind of artist space where if yo boy, you're off key, you don't really have it in the youth, you don't really have it. You need to go back. You're not gonna start over. No, it was a safe space where you're allowed to pretty much learn your own creativity with the resources of a supportive community, people who pray, people who love the Lord, people who are as passionate about glorifying God with the creative giftings. And that kind of feeds everybody. That's kind of feed off each other. And in a lot of ways, those journeys would have been the reason behind why you would have had like a Heartwork EP. Because as Chad said, for me personally, every single tone, every single note, every single line has a whole tapestry of backstory. And it's almost like unless you're a part of the people who journeyed, you're gonna enjoy it as a musical product. But for the people who journeyed, when we hear it, it's just like you're remembering rehearsals, you're remembering arguments, you're remembering community division, you're remembering reconciling prayer meetings, you're remembering. I mean, there's so much that went on behind that came into that was kind of stuffed into all the different lines and stuff. And so while it's beautiful because it has changed me and changed us, I think, in a lot of ways, I feel like now I'm in a space where I have to be like, Lord, where to know? Because it's like I find it very difficult now to just, we're just gonna make a song. Why would you just make a song when you can tell a story, write a book? You know what I mean? It's like, so I work with there are a couple of people that the Lord has allowed me to, like, touch base with, have a couple of rehearsals and work on a couple of songs. But it's like, Lord, I really love my creative soul, and a part of me longs for the journeys that led to these creative moments. You know what I mean? As opposed to, this is a nice lick, this is a nice run, put that and that together, and that's a song and it's done. And so I think this is a moment just to encourage anybody watching this. If you're a creative, or you don't even know if you're a creative, but you have a creative gifting and you're sensing that the Lord wants you to use that in some way and you don't know how, I think this EP really tells a story of how community has a huge role to play in that. And the individual obedience of each person coming together collectively. Because if one man gets a vision for a Still Waters, or one person gets a vision to do X or Y, you know what I mean? And he chooses to walk in obedience to the Lord, is somehow the Lord is able to connect his path with her path, with his path, and then they journey together, and that's how the Lord pieces together our obedience into a whole, which is able to create such beauty. So yeah.
Awesome. Though, before I go back to Jay-Vis, Chad, I'm going to ask you this question. What were some of the challenges you would have encountered while being a bass player for Victor on his EP?
I think one of the challenges would be what I always experience when I'm creating, just being aware of like just where I would lack, because as I said, like when you're in a space with like big personalities with big giftings, it's like there's like a pull. The way it works is like there's a pulling of creative execution, because when the gifts around you are big, and not just the gifts in terms of technicality, but just even like the ability to conceptualize, then it make a big demand on your execution, because I don't want to say anything that is polarizing, but it's like you have people that play flashy for the sake of playing flashy. Yeah. And then you have people that play flashy because you have to play it that. If you don't play it that way, then you don't actually get out the thing. I think that sometimes people say like, why use the words that you use? Like, you just like to talk, you just like to sound smart, I just like to use the words. And it's like no, if I don't use this exact word, it don't capture the exact thing that I'm feeling. It's like, I could have said, that's grandiose, and I could have said, that's large. Large don't capture it. Right. Like, grandiose is the word. Like, Even the
Yeah,
amount of
yeah.
syllables in it is like it paints a picture like grandiose.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Right.
it,
For
it,
sure.
it gives, you know what I mean?
Right.
Even if you don't even know the meaning of it, it's just like, yo, that's grandiose. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, in a rehearsal, like that is like, you can play the equivalent of large, you can play the equivalent of massive, but what is being pulled out is grandiose, and you're like, yo, get the fingers right, get it right, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think I also, me personally, a lot of weight that I carry, like even I've done a lot of sessions with Jay-Vis, as a producer, like both for people that we're working together for, and then just clients. Like I don't know them, Jay-Vis don't really know them, but them just link him and him doing work and getting musicians together, and work with Victor, and they know that like when I'm playing, I'm very critical of myself, but it's not just, yes, is that I want to be good and I want to be excellent, but a part of my thing is the same, coming back to like identity. Like when I finish with it, I want it to have an identity. I don't want it to just be a 1-4-5 progression. I want the baseline in itself to like, you know, so I'll go back and listen and, yeah.
Oh no, I think we lost his audio. Are you hearing us, Chad?
No.
Chad, I think your audio chipped out for a second.
Uh-oh.
You hearing us, Chaddy?
Oh no, I
I
don't think
he's
so.
hearing us.
Chad?
He's going in.
Oh no.
He's got it. Chaddy, we're not hearing you. We're not hearing you.
No.
We're not hearing you. I think he's he's using AirPods. Probably AirPods.
They probably
That's
died.
That's what happened. Yeah, Chad has given the whole story. What I just said. Chad,
I know he was going in. He was going in.
For sure.
You're back.
I was like, oh man, that's some Holy Ghost
I hope
anointed.
you remember
Yes,
whatever you were saying. That's book
Yeah,
material
man.
right there, though.
Yes.
Right. I hope
The
he
devil
remembers.
is a
Yeah.
lie. The devil is a lie.
That's
Yeah.
No.
He says he's going to go out and come back in.
Oh, okay.
Right. He's going to go out and come back in. So, Sarah, I guess you could continue. When he comes back, you just touch base with him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will continue. Now, Jay-Vis, on to you. Over to you. Producer for all of these marvelous tracks that we have the privilege of hearing. Now, what were some of the challenges you would have encountered? I know that you would have said for Wanda, it took about 7 to 8 hours to, you know.
Just the trumpets, the horns section.
Wait, what?
Yeah, man,
You
just
see?
the horns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
man.
my goodness. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about the challenges that you would have encountered.
Well, I
Money.
guess, hey, cash is always a thing, you know. I mean, and I think this is a great it's one of the greatest challenges that Christian creatives may face. Trying to run with the gift or run with the dream, the vision that God would have given you, and then just trying to have the resources, you know, kind of meet you along the way. You know, it's a faith journey. Along with that, you have the typical things for me would be just patience in the recording process, patience in editing after, all of that. Because you have, you know, as Chad would have highlighted, excellent or just a room full of talent. And you want it to be perfect because you don't want this to go to waste. You want an excellent end product, no matter how many times you'd have to do it. So, for example, the background vocals, and, you know, just bigging up Victoria Taffan, Janelle Grant, Daniel Dundas. As much as they did it, their voices were not the final ones on the project. So I remember probably spending another 6 hours doing background vocals the first time. The second time it was 5 hours. The last time it was 2 hours. Just
so
for
a lot
this
goes
song.
into it.
Yeah, man. So let's say on Wonder alone, because of the complexities, probably a good 30 hours worth of recording.
My God.
And then safe to say probably another 30 just to edit, just to get the drums to sit where they need to. Everything just needs to sound right. Having fun in studio with Victor, as and it's fun in the moment, you know. And that I guess that's also that's the blessing of music. You know, when God gave us music, we don't watch the time, although the studio owners may be watching the time.
Yes,
So,
yes.
you know, but yeah, it takes a lot of patience, and we all are operating in our gifts or in our, you know, the area that God would have placed us in, where we all may be multifaceted, but somebody must have given the producer patience. You know, when the rest of the guys are done, let's say when the vocals are done, or you know, a particular instrumentalist is done with his recording, then I have to go home with it, you know, and I'm interfacing with
Surgery.
these songs every day. Yeah. So it's this, and just the dynamics of the different songs. Um, it, it's amazing process. For me, my favorite part of the entire process is just the fact that the songs were written how they were written. See, the songwriter, jeez,
Victor, bro.
wow, yeah, man. You don't I have to say that, you know, 9 out of 10 songs are that I would work on, you know, every month or year or whatever the time period is. The songwriting isn't as strong. It's very, very rare that you find an excellent, you know, just putting these ideas on paper in a 4-minute song, you know, telling an entire story in 4 minutes. That's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
So to really put it together, there are always good elements there that would keep me going throughout a session. If I'm tired of hearing the drums or tired of hearing the keys, well, the songwriting was great. All right, when I get to this part of the song, it's, you know, the vocalists sound amazing. Woo! So, you know, you have a lot to keep you going. Yeah, man.
All right. Okay. Now, of the 6 songs, which one was your favorite?
Yes. It should be
Boy,
interesting.
wow. You know, that's a very dangerous question.
Oh, Lord.
You know, man,
It's a safe
it's difficult
space.
for me
Speak
because
freely.
Safe
Safe space, safe space.
safe space, safe space. Wow. Come on, you can't trap me like this. All of them carry an emotion. That's a safe answer. But I guess I love consistent love, you know. Just what it's saying,
Interesting.
the feel. Yeah, man. I love funk and that kind of vibe.
Right.
So probably consistent love, and I don't even know what would be a close second because everything is just vying for your attention. Yeah, it's not, especially now. It's not like in days of old where somebody makes an album and you listen to one song of that album. You go in the car, you say play track 7 all the time. No. You have to play all of them. Yeah, man. All of them. Just elements, the variety in terms of, you know, the genre. Yeah, man.
Well, okay, awesome. Thank you so much. We have Chad back online with us. Chad, you were saying.
Yeah.
You were
So
talking about your
sorry.
challenges. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. I was just saying, the desire to create something that have an identity that is not just like a progression. The bass line itself, like, will tell a story. The bass line itself will connect with like what the writer is writing, and it's just some little things, you know what I mean? Just some little things that they're not the big things, you know, but just like, all right, the transition from the verse to the chorus, make it feel good, like make it feel like we're going from the B section of the story that is being told to the consistent plot. So verse 1 must feel like, yo, these are the first idea. And then the chorus feel like a consistent plot. It's like you feel elements of it everywhere. And then verse 2 is like, we're continuing on verse 1 idea and how you can do that in the bass line. So like things like that just pose as challenges. And then I guess also because we talk about the beauty of collaboration, but there's also the challenges of collaboration, because in myself, in my energy, in my persona, in my perspective, I'm hearing the story being told this way. And then Joe is not hearing the story being told that way. Yeah. And then I am not the final say. And joy is not the final say. Is the measure of humility and unity that is the final say. So like that also is just like, all right, cool. I definitely want to go here. So is this a point where I pause the rehearsal and say, yo, I'm not like that, I could try that? Or is it a point where I find a way to do what I want to do with what he's doing? Or do I change what I'm doing altogether? Do I talk to the producer afterwards? It's just like, yeah, I don't know, these challenges, but I think it's also just the beauties of creating and recording and stuff. When you're recording, like I've always, when I've read and watched stuff and research, people always talk about the marked difference between a session musician and a live musician. You can be an all-rounder, you can be a session musician and a live musician, but a good live musician does not necessarily a good session musician make, you know what I mean? Because you can do something with an energy and it's nice and gone, but when you record every time is a different kind of set, it's the same execution. So those things pose themselves as challenges to me. My own ability to execute what I'm hearing because of the demand on my creativity. That was something because of what was in the room. And then just learning how to collaborate, and tell the story in a way that outside of ego, I'm genuinely trying to put this into the narration and hearing and connecting with what other people are doing. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. We're going to go for a quick break, and then when we come back, we will hear, you will talk to us about your signature style, if you have one.
I'll read